All right, we are live.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Library Commission's October 19th meeting. This is a teleconference meeting with Library Commissioner members, city staff, and members of the public participating remotely to ensure proper social distancing in the federal, state, and local emergency. I would like to introduce staff and library commissioner members present as part of our roll call. So we have Mayrin Buyagit, Alan Cohen, David Earhart, Sukanya Guha, myself, Katie Hadrovich, and Yen Tran. And Kristen Leap is not present, may be joining us later. In addition, staff present is Nick Shegda, the Assistant Library Services Director, and Nick is also the staff liaison for the Library Commission. All right, Nick, would you please provide instructions to the Library Commission and members of the public on how the meeting will proceed?
Sure, we're going to work our way through the agenda item by item. The chair will call for public comment. If you have a comment that you'd like to make on a particular item, just engage that raised hand feature that's on the right of your screen. Or if you don't have access to audio, you can type your comment in the chat window and I can read it out to the commissioners.
All right, thank you. And I see that Sean Reinhardt has also joined us. Nick, do we have any members of the public present?
I don't see any yet.
Okay, well,
I don't see our first presenter either, though. So,
okay, well, at this point, it's time for public comment. And if there's no one in the public present, I guess we can just move on. And if people show up, I mean, I guess we can address whether or not we do a general public comment when and if there's people present. So I don't think I need to read the details of public comment if we have no public, right? Okay.
Nope.
In that case, let's move on to regular business. Under regular business, the Library Commission considers recommendations from city staff on policy matters or administrative actions that require Library Commission approval. The first item for us tonight is to approve the minutes from the September 21st, 2020 Library Commission meeting, and the attachment was included in the agenda. So any clarifying questions from the commission before taking public comment on this? All right, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Okay, and I'll ask each time because I can't tell if we have anyone here, so we'll just move through that quickly. All right, open for Library Commission discussion.
I move to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second for that? Okay, all in favor?
Well, I think I have to,
right,
I have to call.
Sorry. Okay.
Call you out one at a time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
No, it's okay. I forget about it sometimes too, so I'm glad I remembered.
Okay.
It's just in case there are folks who can't see us. They know who votes what way. So I'll just make the roll call through. Commissioner Tran, how do you vote to approve the minutes?
Aye.
Commissioner Earhart?
Aye.
Commissioner Guha?
Aye.
Commissioner Cohen?
Aye, aye.
Commissioner Bunyagij?
Aye.
And Chair Hadrovich?
Aye.
Great, the motion passes. The minutes are approved.
Perfect. Okay, and did you say that our presenter for C2 is not here yet?
Not yet, no.
All right,
No.
Should we move on to C3 and then we can come back to C2 when she arrives?
Sure can.
And if her time is short, we can interrupt what we're doing too, I think, to go through. Okay, C3, discussion, Library and Community Services Department Strategic Plan 2020 and beyond. And we did have a staff report from that. So are there any clarifying questions from the commission before taking public comment on this item? No, okay. Any public comment, Nick?
There is no public comment.
Okay, in that case, I open it for Library Commission discussion.
If you guys would like, I could give you a quick verbal presentation just to kind of set the context for this item and why it's coming forward. So commissioners who have been on the commission for a while remember that the library department developed a strategic plan. It's a great way to get everybody moving in the same direction and to align what we're going to do with community needs and with the city council's goals. Since we had a merger of the two departments, library and community services, into library and community services, we thought it was a good idea to get a strategic plan going for the new department. And this is sort of our, well, not really first pass at it, because we've made a couple of passes as a staff team, but it's the first time you guys are seeing it. And we'll keep bringing it back to this commission and to the Parks and Rec Commission so that the advisory groups have their chance to give input into the strategic plan. It's a very important document internally for the LCS team. All of our individual work plans tie back into the strategic plan. I outlined a little bit here. Let's see, I can share my screen, I think. Here we go. Outlined a little bit of, make this a little bigger so it's a little easier to read for you guys. There we go. Everybody see that okay? Good. Just some background, taking a look at the existing different plans and master plans, what sort of best practices are industry-wide, taking a look at the council priorities, and then taking a look at what we can and can't do. Then sort of engaging the team internally to talk about the different strategic directions that we might want to have. And now we're getting to this phase 3 where we're starting to collect feedback from you, from the public, from other key stakeholders, from the Parks and Rec Commission. It'll go back again to the staff for sort of another take at it, and we'll flesh it out a little more. And we will certainly bring back the finalized plan to this commission for your review again. So just quickly to talk about our 8 strategic directions. The first one is to deliver excellent customer service. We are still, even in our combined department, primarily a customer service organization. The Menlo Park Community Campus Project is very important to the community and the council. Providing services and programs that are responsive, doing what we do efficiently, developing our staff, engaging in really robust two-way communication with the community. I would say under that goal also includes internal communication. We're quite a bigger organization now than we were just when we were the library team, so that has become even more important. This is a new one that's come up. And about time, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then sort of responding to our current times, planning for reactivation and sorts of service adaptations we might have to make when we reactivate. Just a little bit about SMART goals, which is making sure that the tasks and goals that we nestle under those 8 different strategic directions are specific and measurable, achievable, so that we can actually get them done. Then I'll stop talking there and see if any of the commissioners have any questions, or if Sean has anything to add.
I had a couple questions. Oh, go ahead. Yen, go ahead.
Correct in that that there will be more specific sort of goals for these 8, right? Because some of them are specific, but some of them are also sort of general, like number 7, you know, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, like that's sort of broad. And so am I correct in that the next step is that library staff and library administration will be developing more specific SMART goals that are going to be measurable and sort of evaluable?
Yeah, absolutely. And a little further down in the document, I did start to put in some of the goals that we're starting to develop, the staff were developing that nestle under those. We are now getting to the point where we're actually building the tasks to achieve each of those goals. So yes, there will be a greater degree of specificity, if I can say that, specificity, than what you just see with the 8 top level goals. Because that's the thing about a lot of unsuccessful strategic plans, I think, is that they're aspirational, but they don't actually sort of map out how you're going to get to where you want to get, and nor do they provide any way for you to tell that you got there. So that's the idea. And looking back at the library strategic plan, we didn't do everything, we didn't get everything done that we said we were going to get done, and that does happen sometimes. But you want to make those as few as possible. Those ones that you don't get done for whatever reason, you want to make it achievable. And I think because we are tying our specific individual work plan goals to the strategic plan, they really have to be measurable and understandable by everybody. So yes, the short answer is yes, there will be more specifics.
Did I see in the, when I wasn't able to print the entire thing, so I didn't mark up my copy, but did I see that you are going to be asking us for specific comment or feedback in November or December? Is that an aspirational goal? But it doesn't seem to me that we're going to have a more fleshed out document to look at next month.
We might.
Oh.
We've got the goals sort of pretty well done, and we're working through our second go round with the strategic plan teams. We stood up teams from staff members across the department for each of the goals, and they're sort of taking the lead on that. So we're starting our second go round. I think we're about halfway through our second go round now. So we may. I think the idea is to try to get it done by early in the new year if possible. So hopefully, yeah, November might be a stretch, but December we should probably be able to have something more specific for you guys to take a look at.
And also, I was wondering about, slashed budgets and laid off staff, and how those things are going to be considered temporary or long-term, and how all of that, intersects with trying to come up with your strategic goals when obviously neither the budget slashes or laying off staff or actually merging your departments had been something that I think had been thought about prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, well, things are changing, as we've all discovered, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, but we're trying to bake that into our goals so that we don't sort of try to bite off more than we can deliver, to mix my metaphors there. We're trying to make sure that we are taking a look. Some of the goals specifically have to deal with budgeting. The diversity, equity, and inclusion goal has a goal. Strategic direction has a goal under it to talk about how we budget equitably, or how we budget to increase diversity. So we're thinking about those sorts of things. And goal 8, or strategic direction 8, where we're talking about planning for reactivation, that's going to be really impacted by our current levels of staffing.
Right.
So we don't know what it's going to look like when we get the reopen. We don't know when we're going to reopen, and we don't know what it's going to look like budget-wise and staff-wise when we reopen. But we'll be having those talks with city administration and with the council. That here's what we can do with our staffing level now if we were to reopen everything, or here's what we need to provide the services you want us to provide when we reopen. And Sean, if you want to jump in and add on to that, feel free.
Thanks, Nick. The only other thing I would add, just related to like resources, and do we have the resources to do all this stuff? Is it achievable? Everything Nick said, plus there's the element of time. So I don't think we've set like a time frame yet for this plan, but we think it's going to extend at least 3 years into the future. That would kind of align with the new Menlo Park Community Campus projected opening. So there are some things like, I think strategic direction number 6 is about two-way communication with the community. One of the sub goals there is to develop a strategic communications plan. Well, we could do that like first thing next year, or we could put that off another year, just depending on where it falls within the prioritization of stuff we have committed to doing. And, so that's another way to sort of spread it out and ensure that we're not overloading ourselves is to use the time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do a lot of things. We can't do them all at the same time, probably.
David, go ahead.
Looking at the 2019-2020 strategic plan for the library, there's a lot of similarity between the items that are in the one you're just describing now. When I look at the status of some of the things, like just the first one, the customer service, the status that's in there says we're going to have a tool implemented in January of 2020, which would have predated the COVID interruption. So I guess, I don't need specifics, but are some of these pretty mature now and just really need to be, deployed, or like you were describing, Sean, about having to sort of create this communication thing? It looks like some of them is a lot of constructive reuse, creative reuse of some of the prior stuff. So are we kind of farther along on a few of them than maybe would suggest just looking at it starting, fresh?
Definitely on some, although not the specific one that you mentioned. But yes, definitely on some, we're a little farther along.
What we did is we did a survey month in November of 2019 where we surveyed all of the different library programs. So we had a component of that worked. We didn't have the general sort of point of service customer satisfaction survey that I think we were aiming for. So yeah, that may be one of the ones that we're not doing right off the bat. It may be something that we push out a little bit. If you'll excuse me just a second, I'm going to try to get our presenter into the meeting. She's having some technical difficulties. So hang on for just a second.
So while he's doing that, I'll just expand on direction number 1. That's a good one. So we did implement a customer satisfaction data collection system. We've used SurveyMonkey and paper surveys and a couple of other techniques. So we kind of have that in place. Goal 1.2, which is to create the customer service training program and have everyone trained on these principles. That hasn't happened yet. So that's kind of a carry forward type goal. Then underneath each one of these goals is going to be like a series of tasks, and I think the 1920 previous one kind of has that spelled out. But I think we can get that back to this commission in that level of granularity. So 3 layers: the direction, the goal, and then the tasks underneath it by November.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions related to this item? Okay, I don't think that we have any, it was just informational. There's nothing for us to move forward on. Nick, do you think we're going to be able to go to C2, or should we move to C4 first?
I'm texting her the meeting number.
Okay.
So hopefully we can see her soon. Sorry, this is dull to watch me. I apologize.
Do we want to move on to the agenda calendar, the next item?
We can definitely do that, and then if Nick gets that, I don't know how much he needs to. Oh, okay. All right. So moving on to our calendar, which Sean has put up on the screen.
Can you all see that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so looking at that, No, that's what I was thinking about when I was asking Nick for November or December, having the policy back, because we had a no meeting holiday break in December, which I suppose, is that a traditional thing that we always do? It seems that we've missed so many meetings this year and no one's really going anywhere, but I mean, it's fine for us to continue with not having the meeting in December, but if that's a flexible thing, maybe we would talk about it and see what everyone thought.
We certainly talk about it now. I think in past years, because the third Monday tends to be pretty close to the Christmas holiday, and this year it's the 21st of December. That you know, a lot of, I think past commissions were like, yeah, we can probably skip December. I think it's your call. We could work around a December break, but we also could have a meeting. It's really up to you. I think agenda-wise, it's manageable because there isn't really anything yet teed up for January or February, and there's nothing like incredibly time sensitive here.
Okay.
Yeah, that couldn't wait.
Okay. Is there anything, so I'm assuming, Nick, given what you just said to us, we've got the diversity, inclusion, and equity policy. Is that a standalone policy that we'll be reviewing? And then in addition, we're going to maybe revisit the goals and strategic plan?
Right. I think we're carrying that one. We've been carrying that one forward for a while, and we had thought we would have had this policy developed. We bring our policies for your review. We haven't had a policy, a diversity, inclusion, and equity policy before. So it might have to roll out a little bit further.
Okay.
Right. I could just chime in. It's super important to develop that policy. We were hoping to build on a policy adopted by the city council, which they did add to their priority list to address institutional bias and institutional racism, sort of along these lines. But they have not formally adopted that policy yet. And so, we've been sort of, do we go before the council does theirs or not? And so we sort of erred on the side of not, since during the pandemic, not a lot got done during the, like on the policy side. So we're just so focused on protecting against COVID and so forth. So November is probably not going to happen, but it'd probably be better to focus on the strategic plan next month, because there will be quite a bit to discuss, including the dimension of the strategic plan that's all about diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And the policy itself, I think, would have to wait till 2021. I think we'd rather hear from the council first, so that whatever policy we bring to you is in alignment with their direction.
Okay. So Nick, you're gonna make those changes to the November calendar, where we'll go back, we're gonna revisit the strategic plan in more specificity, and maybe give more specific our comments on that. And then we're going to move the diversity, inclusivity, and equity policy. Do we want to put that in the parking lot until the city council has actually approved theirs? And then once they have finished that and you're ready to roll yours out after them, we put it onto the calendar?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the timing of it, since it's, yeah, that makes sense. Because otherwise, I think we'll end up continuing to move it around until we get something from the council.
Okay, does that make sense to everyone else? Anybody have any different feeling about it? Okay. Anything else that people want to have on the November calendar that things may come up as we complete the meeting. So, but for now, I think we're ready to move past the calendar. Nick, do we have our speaker, or should we go to C, or, oh, it looks like D.
We're we're moving into another section. Yeah, you're moving along at a good clip tonight. It's great.
Okay,
She's still trying. She's having some technical difficulties.
okay,
so
well, let's just
we
move
can just
on
keep
then.
going.
D1 department updates. We had a staff report. I don't know if you are able to put that staff report up on the screen.
I can, if you give me a second here.
I'll just quickly summarize. It just had some brief updates, primarily to give the commission an opportunity to discuss in the public meeting, since then they're on the agenda. The playgrounds are planned to be reopened by the end of this month. There's a virtual Halloween and Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos event planned. Screen share kind of threw me off. We got a new online support resource for job seekers and veterans. Pickleball is coming to Kelly Park, and the library curbside pickup service was very busy in the past month.
All right, and did we have any public comment on this item, Nick?
Let me stop sharing for a moment and see if anybody has any public comment. Go ahead and type in chat or raise your hand. No public comment, but we do have our Avita has joined us.
Okay, well, I think that we didn't have any motions or anything before us related to D1. So why don't we just consider that item concluded, unless anyone had any comment on it. And then we can just, once we're done with C2, we'll move straight to D2, okay?
Great.
All right, take it away, Nick.
All right, so I'm happy to introduce you to Avita Samardar. She is the recreation coordinator who's in charge of the services at the Menlo Park Senior Center. And she prepared a little report, well, not a little report, she prepared a report on all of the things that they've been doing at the Senior Center since the shelter in place. So the service adaptations that they've had to do. Avita's here, and she's going to give us a little talk about, again, I don't know why I keep saying little, my apologies. She's going to give us a talk on services to seniors. Take it away, Avita.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and I'm sorry for coming in late. I was attending to a senior, my dad, and I just got back in, so wanted to check in and give you a short presentation about the senior programs at the Senior Center, what we are doing, what have we been doing, and what I see coming up, hopefully in the near future. So we are located, for those of you who might not know, we're located in Bellhaven. The actual building is. Our patrons come from all over Menlo Park to our center, East Palo Alto, Redwood City, and then we have a few that also come in from all up and down the peninsula, because throughout the time they have moved maybe or relocated because of the cost of housing. So pre-COVID, we were open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to about 4. We would bring some of our seniors in who didn't have transportation, and the rest of them either walked or rode their bikes or carpool together. So it's more or less the ones that attend every single day were from the neighborhood. And then we have obviously guests from other areas that would join us. The main focus of our center was the meal program. So we cooked in-house and provided meals, hot, nutritious daily meals for them, and filled their days with challenging and fun programs, anything from exercise to sewing to computers, painting, ceramics, Spanish, anything you can imagine. But the biggest part of it was also the whole social aspect of it, that they all came in and they wanted to hang out with people that essentially have become their family, as most of them don't have family nearby. So that was pre-COVID. Here comes March 13. We were told we need to close right away. So there were a lot of things that we had to plan really fast and ask for help and collaborate with people and agencies and community organizations that we know. So immediately we contacted several different kitchens that did bulk meals. And we ended up with Samaritan House, which is located in San Mateo. And they welcomed us with open arms and no charge at all for the meals. So we were able to make a list of people that regularly came to the center, mainly for the food, but they also stayed for other things. But we knew nutrition was a big part of their lives that they were getting from the center. So we started our informal contract with Samaritan House, and in March 14th, I think it was, we started with 15 meals to the most at risk. And today we have grown our list to 80 seniors that we deliver meals to Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, double meals. So for the Tuesday, Thursday, and the weekend, they have all this meal that could, carry them over for the whole week. So that's the biggest probably component of what we are working on right now. So the staff comes in, collects the food from the kitchen that, Samaritan House kitchen in San Mateo, bring it back, and we package it and send it to the seniors' homes. Then I have some good connections with Facebook. Luckily in many ways, and reached out to them and asked them about their mobile produce program so we can bring in more vegetables and fruits and milk and cheese and some of the other things to our seniors. And they also welcomed us with open arms. And we started again with 15 wonderful boxes of really good stuff for the seniors. And today we have 75 boxes that we get from them every Monday. And we deliver those to the seniors. Again, it has all the goodies in it and vegetables and things that could be supplementing what they're getting from us. In addition to that, Second Harvest Food Bank, who has been helping us since I've been there and then some, and I've been there almost 22 years. They came in with the boxes of other goodies, anything from canned goods to rice and legumes and everything else in between. So twice a month, they bring to us currently 200 boxes, 200 servings, and each serving is consisted of 3 boxes. Very heavy, nice boxes though, of goodies that 150 of those get picked up with a drive-by situation, and about 50 of them we hand deliver because the people either are too frail or don't have transportation. So that's been going really well. And all of those really is all about food, because that's the biggest insecurity that some of our seniors face nowadays and always really. So while we're delivering food to these people, it gives us an opportunity to give them each a call. We call individuals to let them know the food is arriving and will be by your doorstep in a few minutes. But by the way, how you're doing, how things are going. So we kind of squeeze in a well check in there just to make use of the time, and then also just to check in, see how everything is going with them. And we've had cases that we needed to attend to or report to the county so that they can also look into them further, because it was above and beyond what we could handle. Aside from that, on a more happier things, I would say, we collaborate with Foothill College, who used to 8 or some 8 or 9 classes every week to our seniors free of charge. And again, those are ceramics, sewing, exercise, meditation, all kinds of wonderful things. So we collaborated with them. They are still providing however, they are more in written format, and we duplicate them and make packets for our seniors that we deliver to. So they get those, we put together shelter, well, I forgot the name of it, shelter and play packets that we put together with all kinds of coloring sheets and resource information and stories and things. So those also go home to the seniors, dropped off with the meals or mailed to them. And then lastly, one of the things that we've always really liked to do and expanded significantly right now is Project Cheer that we started, and birthday cards to sending snail mail type of packets and letters to the seniors, so they get something in their mailbox besides junk mail, and they enjoy reading these wonderful letters that come home. And those are produced by the staff. The staff handwrites them. We have our children, my 3 daughters, write to the seniors their letters, and youth in the community. So it's just really to let them know we didn't forget you. I know you're getting your food, but above and beyond that, we really miss having you. That's pretty much it, all that's going on right now. And what is ahead of us is we have our Day of the Dead, which is a huge celebration with our community that we serve at the center, Thanksgiving and Christmas that are coming up. And those are the special events we have on our plates that we're working on right now, how to deliver them, not virtually, but maybe more of a drive-by, driving by their homes with Santa, things like that. And just trying to make it more fun for them. Because when the center was open, we had at least 2, if not more, big special events for them every single month. And they loved the dances, and they loved the music performances and things like that. So this would be our way of still having those, but in a different way. And thankfully, again, Facebook has sponsored us for our Christmas event for the last few years. And they have also donated money towards anything that would help bring more joy to the seniors with the COVID. So we have a nice $25,000 grant there from them. So we have the money, and we're looking forward to spending it to help with the seniors and bringing them more joy. I talked a lot. I'm sorry. It was more than 10 minutes, I know. Sorry about that. Any questions?
That's all right.
Did you want to just touch on the collaboration with the library that you're doing?
Sure, I can talk about it, and probably Nick can jump in as well. So currently we have all of our meal recipients and started a kind of a test group to see if we can loan out equipment like tablets to them, and introduce them to books and also magazines via going onto the website and virtually checking out these items. So we haven't actually physically delivered the tablets to this test group, but it's on the way. And in the meantime, with the help of the library staff, we've been creating more like a menu where it's easy for them to mark. I love to get a fiction book, maybe by this particular author, or an easy reader. And shortly we are planning on distributing those and collecting what they like to see. And with the help of the library staff, bags have been ordered, and we will be stuffing the bags and sending them home with goodies like that, with magazines and whatnot. So the collaboration is coming along really nicely. I think just the challenge that we faced is a lot of my seniors do not have knowledge of the computers or are scared of the technology. And we have quite a few that don't read also, not because they don't understand English, but it's just they never had to learn to read and write. So there are some challenges we're trying to work with right now. But I foresee it that in the near future, I think we'll definitely, we'll be out there, and even with audiobooks and things, so they can still enjoy. So it's in the works.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, do we have any public comment related to this item?
Good quick look. If anybody has any public comment they would like to make, please use the raise hand function or type a message in the chat window. I do not see any public comment.
Okay.
Just to piggyback on Avita's talk there a little bit. So the library team is looking at different ways to provide those sorts of services to the seniors who are at home right now. It's probably going to be some one-on-one tech tutoring, which might take a couple of different methods. Some folks would be fine with like a cheat sheet for a tablet. Some folks need internet access, and so we're working to get some hotspots, some Wi-Fi hotspots that we get through the library, through the state. Some folks need literacy services, so we're working to figure out ways to provide that virtually as well. Some of the problems you can see sort of stack on the other. We can't provide virtual literacy services if we don't first provide wireless and a means for connecting to the internet so that you can get the literacy services that you need. So it's a little bit of a multifaceted problem for different individuals, but I think the work once underway is going to be good for the neighborhood residents, because these are some folks who haven't had access for a variety of reasons to these services, and hopefully could take really good advantage of them if we can provide them in a way that easy for them to use.
Anyone else? Any other commissioners have comments or questions? Maybrin, go ahead.
I just wanted to say hi to Avita. My first graders usually do at Beechwood. We do service learning opportunities each month, and so we're desperately missing you. And in the future, we're already in the talks of how we're gonna virtually make our connections happen again. So know that that's coming up.
Good. Very excited about that.
Wonderful. Anyone else have anything?
Just looking ahead for senior services. First of all, thank you, Avita, so much for the great report and presentation. But we're looking ahead to when the senior center is demolished in summer to make way for the new facility, and with transitional services for seniors primarily being provided on the Burgess campus. With the ARC, the Arriaga Recreation Center has a commercial kitchen, but we're also looking to replicate the senior lounge in the main library, so that the seniors will have, that kind of feel. And so that's kind of exciting to kind of test run that concept of having the senior center and the library like adjacent to each other, because in the new building, they'll be in the same building, which is very exciting, so that we hope will give the seniors an even richer and fuller experience than they're already getting. That's it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Really, we appreciate your coming in and giving us such a awe-inspiring presentation. Really. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to working more closely with our colleagues here at the library and bringing more exciting things to our seniors. Really. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're always welcome here. And, you know, I'm speaking for everyone, but I'm speaking for myself. If there is anything that you see a need related to the library, you're always welcome to come to one of our commission meetings or send the commission an email or a letter letting us know something. And, you know, I'm sure you would find 7 people willing to support and try to make those things happen for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Avita.
Thanks, Avita.
Thank you.
Okay, then you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but if you're ready to go, that's all right too. We're going to move on to the next item on our agenda.
Thank you. I'll get the details from Nick and Sean later. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for the opportunity. Good night.
Okay, moving on. My reference is that we are now at D2, which is an update request for proposals on the integrated library system and interlibrary loan system. We had a staff report on that, and Nick and Sean are available to answer any commissioner questions on this item. So before we do that, do we have a public comment on this? Nick, I'm assuming that we have members of the public here now?
We have 2.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great. Welcome, welcome.
So if
Okay.
anyone has a public comment they would like to make, let us know by raising your hand or by typing a message in the chat window that I can then read out to the commission. And I do not see anybody wanting to make a public comment.
Okay, well then, moving on. Did you want to just give us a quick little status or update or info on this particular staff report?
Yeah, absolutely. So just keeping you guys in the loop. So you know that as part of our cost-cutting measures related to the budget cuts caused by the COVID pandemic and the drop in city revenues, we proposed to the city to withdraw from the Peninsula library system. Withdrawing from the Peninsula library system would mean that we would have to get our own integrated library system. So our own catalog sort of back-end software that handles checking things in, checking things out, issuing library cards, managing patron data, integrating with all of our electronic databases, and providing for some sort of interlibrary loan service, which now is provided in 2 ways by the intersystem loan in the PLS system and also through the out-of-system loan through Link Plus. So this request for proposals is the first step in exploring getting our own ILS and just sort of outlining the major parts of the RFP to keep the commission aware of what's going on and give you an opportunity to ask us any questions or to provide your input.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion, comment, or questions from the commission? David, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious. I read through the report, and I do realize there's some obviously budget things associated with this. Like, could it tell, and maybe I just didn't read it closely enough, what impact on service is there actually? I mean, I'm in terms of what would a person making a request and finding that the asset they wanted was San Mateo Library or something like that, and the process sort of happens behind the curtain. You don't know it, all of a sudden arrives, it arrives for you. The going our own on our ILS, does that reduce our available resources, or does that is it stay neutral to it, to the individual?
If we were to withdraw from PLS and do nothing to kind of replace that access, then yeah, there would be just fewer items that people could choose from. But what we're proposing to do is to really beef up our on-demand fulfillment. So basically, any item that someone wants, if we don't already have it, then we would commit to getting it for the person within a week. So either we would borrow it from one of the other libraries throughout California and Nevada that we also have reciprocal borrowing arrangements with through Link Plus, which typically those arrive 4 or 5 business days, or we would just buy the item, which is even faster most of the time. So people should probably see the same, if not maybe a little bit better access, because we wouldn't be limited to just the universe of San Mateo County.
Okay. Thank you.
Our other, oh, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, so that's actually interesting. I'm glad that David asked that question, because so is this a change that we might have actually considered irrespective of COVID? Because am I not hearing any downside here? It seems like it has all upside. So did this
Yes,
just become a
this
valid
would be,
consideration as a result of the circumstances we find ourselves in, or?
well, I think, yes, this would be something I would recommend, regardless of COVID, in part because of the exorbitant cost of membership in PLS, and for kind of what you get. But it's been in place for such a long time, and the amount of effort needed to withdraw is pretty substantial. So I think that's what kind of prevented the change happening in past years. It's just, just so much sort of inertia built into it's just easier just to renew. Because the whole process takes 6 months to withdraw. You have to get your own system. You have to train everybody. The public needs to be re-educated. So COVID was sort of the catalyst that said, you know what, it's worth the effort to go ahead and make that withdrawal now.
Oh, okay, good. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, I don't think that we had an task related to this, did we? No, okay. Then why don't we move on to an update, D3, update Menlo Park Community Campus Project. We have a staff report. Nick and Sean are available to answer any commissioner questions on this item. Do we have any public comment first off related to item D3?
If there's any comment, please let us know by raising your hand using that raise hand function or typing a message in the chat window. And I don't see any public comment.
Okay, in that case, are there any commissioner clarification questions? Anybody want to ask anything? If not, maybe Nick or Sean, did you want to give us a quick update verbally?
Yeah, sure can. It wasn't much of a staff report, frankly, because it just linked to the other 2 staff reports. But those staff reports had a lot of work in them. Staff report for a presentation early last week to the Planning Commission, and then another presentation on the following night to the City Council. So the Planning Commission basically saw some architectural renderings and things that we hadn't seen before. So we had seen a little bit of the 2-story floor plan there and the different functional areas of the new community campus project. The architects provided at the Planning Commission meeting a little more some look and feel stuff of what the building might look like, some on what the landscaping might be and what the materials might be. The Planning Commission is looking at it mainly, I think, to see that sort of massing and architectural review sort of thing. They're going to see it again in more detail next month, I believe, November, because the City Council is going to have a chance to approve the project either in December or early January, I think is the timeline. I don't know if any of you attended or listened in on the Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Commission response was mostly positive. We heard a lot about ballroom dancing, more about ballroom dancing than I thought I would hear at the Planning Commission meeting, but there you go. But I think a generally positive response to the work that had been done so far by Hart Howerton, the architecture team that's working for Facebook. They had some good questions, which I think the architectural team is going to take with them as they start to develop the floor plans more specifically, and also the exterior building drawings, which is a several months process. So I don't know how refined those drawings will be when they come back to the Planning Commission. I think they have to be to a certain level of refinement, but I don't think when they get approved by the Planning Commission, if they are fully mapped out with like, this is where the conduit goes sort of drawings. I think those are developed after the project is approved. At the City Council meeting, the City Council was considering all of those sort of add-on things that Facebook was not paying for. Primary among them was the swimming pool, but also some things like increasing the structural integrity of the building so it could serve as a Red Cross emergency shelter, some things around photovoltaic car patios and battery microgrid backup systems, and what else? Recycled water lines, some really things that had to do with making it a more sustainable building. The council approved that laundry list of things, so they approved adding all of those to the project, which was important because the footprint of the new building actually sits on top of the current pool, so you can't have the current pool there anymore. You have to do something with it. But they didn't come to an agreement on how to pay for it, the mechanism to pay for that yet. And so that's where they're still talking. They directed staff to come back with more analysis of methods to pay for it. So that's where we stand now. I think staff is coming back to the council either later this month or early next month to talk about those financing mechanisms, and in early November, I think November 10th, to talk about the plan for interim services, which becomes very important for the current users of the building, the senior center and the community center and the youth center and the pool. What way are we going to provide services for those folks when next summer that complex gets knocked down to make way for the new community campus? That's probably more than you wanted to know, but if you have any other questions, happy to answer, or happy to try to answer.
Okay, anyone want to ask any questions or make a comment? Mayrin, you want to go first?
So for sure, then the pool is definitely going to be changed. Then there was no like talk about keeping it and just upgrading around it. It has to be because of the plans of where the building is.
Yeah,
or...
I mean the replacing and upgrading the pool had been part of the Parks and Rec facilities master planning process. That it was that the pool needed a substantial upgrade, and past a certain point, the pool is. I wish Adrian were here to tell me, but maybe Sean can help me out. The pool there is 20 years old at least. It's sort of been repaired a couple of times and is getting to the point where it makes sense to replace it now anyway. There's some level changes between the current pool deck and where the new building is going to sit. And so it makes a lot of sense if you're gonna change the pool anyway, to do it all at once. Yeah.
Thank you.
David, I think you had a comment.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of an impression, and I guess I'm interested in the feedback from Sean and Nick. A couple times the architects were talking about how, from a library standpoint, it was, you know, I know I'm misquoting them, but it was basically the gist of it was there won't be much in terms of holdings. It's about having rooms and meeting places. And, you know, my impression for the 2 nights, you know, the back-to-back sessions, was that that site's all about meeting rooms and you know, people get get-togethers. And I guess I was disappointed if that's in fact going to be the outcome, because one of the things with the current library is really poor adult holdings. I mean, because it's the library for the primary school there. So if in fact the consolidation of everything has resulted in more meeting rooms but less library relative to what we have now, which we thought was going to be more, that'll be very frustrating. I guess I'm interested, maybe I completely misheard the conversation, but like I said a couple times, they were focusing on, well, it's not the library used to know, it's going to be meeting rooms. People want to get together. Anyway, I'll stop talking. I'm interested in feedback.
No, I picked up
I
on
agree.
that. I picked up on that too, and I think it. Hart Howerton's a really great architect, but they have not really done a lot of work specifically in libraries. So I think they were leaning in a little bit too much on the description of what libraries are today, which I think the Library Commission spends a lot more time sort of discussing really what is the meaning of the library today, and has moved far beyond maybe the initial part of that type of conversation where it's like, oh, it's more than just books. I think we all kind of know that here. I think that's kind of where they were coming from. I don't have the square footage off the top of my head. However, the combined, there are library spaces on 2 floors in the new facility, and combined, it's a pretty substantial increase above what's currently there. Definitely doesn't reach what was recommended in the space needs study, but the space needs study contemplated a freestanding, standalone building, which is a whole kind of different animal. There certainly will be holdings, and much improved holdings, from what is currently at the Belhaven Library, but we are looking at ways to disperse them throughout the entire facility. So there will certainly be shelves like in the adult library and in the children's library with library books for people to borrow. But we're also looking at putting them in the senior center, lounge, in like the fitness center area. So it'll be more dispersed throughout the building rather than you go to like a concentrated, just wall-to-wall set of shelves. And I think sort of that's really what the design is doing, but I don't think he expressed it as artfully as he maybe could have.
I actually was wondering similar questions to David's, and specifically I was thinking about all the different uses that our space needs studies had generated, and I was curious about your input, your ability to give input into what the community has said they wanted in a library, how the architects are creating this space, whether those needs are going to be met. And I was also just thinking about this whole concept of things scattered all over. I mean, it's very cool to think, oh, I walk in anywhere and I can maybe, see something I wouldn't have thought about. But I'm curious about, I remember going to a library on a library tour a couple years ago. Nick, you were there with us. I want to say it was in Los Altos or
Los Gatos. I think it's Los Gatos.
And one of the things that impressed me there when they were showing us their library and the design for it is they were talking about staff efficiencies by the way it was designed. So I'm thinking about, temporary realities related to staff cuts, but moving forward with budget and staff, how does it work so that people feel like they are having meaningful engagement with library staff with all of these scattered library areas in the building?
Yeah, I think I'll take a crack at that one, Sean. I think the way Sean and I are envisioning it is there will be these areas that I like to think of it as library plus. It's not like we're breaking the library into little pieces and then putting it all over the place. That's the add-on we're getting, as well as a nice children's library and a nice adult library. So I sort of feel like the library is reaching out into these other areas and colonizing places where we maybe haven't had a chance to go before. I think there will still be a substantial adult teen collection in that second floor library space. So there'll be a craft room or maker space. There will be some study rooms, because those were the things that people told us they wanted in a new library facility, were those chances to have studying and tutoring and small group meeting space for businesses or whatever they wanted to do. But there will be still physical collections there. What might change and what might help with the staffing of it is how we're going to be treating those materials. So there will be a lot more opportunities for like self-service. So there'll be self-checkout machines, but we've started floating some ideas internally about how do we make it an easy to use facility. And one of the ideas that we've had is that maybe it's like a big little free library in a way. So it's stuff is there. Maybe we change the way we sort of think about the library materials, that you don't have to take it and go to a counter and check it out. You can just take it and bring it back when you're done with it. That would certainly cut down on those sort of service points that we would need to have. We're still going to have, for checking things in and out kind of things, we're still going to have library staff there, and they're going to be very visible, just like they are at the current branch when we're open. The current branch there, which gets huge sort of punctuated rushes of kids in the morning for story times and kids after school for the homework center, but also all of the programs that we run for adults and all the literacy programs that we have, and having a better space for language learners, English language learners, is going to be huge. So did that answer your question? I think we're still going to have the library stuff that people have asked for. It might be sort of moved around a little bit, but we're kind of not breaking it into shards that can't ever get back together again, I guess is the sort of metaphor. It's going to still be there and recognizable as a library.
And just to add just kind of the scale of this building. So it's a 2-story building, and it's about 37,000 square feet. So I mean, it's a good size, but it's not like tremendous. It's not like huge. Like you could walk from one side to the other relatively quickly in just a couple of minutes, because each footprint, is not even 20,000 square feet. And the library components are in the center of the building. So all roads, including the entry, kind of go through the libraries, and there will be library staff there. So I think it won't be too difficult for folks to, kind of interface with library staff, even if they're all the way in one wing or the other wing, because they still have to come back through the main part.
And just for comparison, the current branch library at the Belhaven School is like 3,500 square feet. And the current main library is in the mid 30,000 square feet. So I think it's like 35 or so thousand square feet. So we're talking about a building, the new community campus building is going to be about as big as the current main library, but it'll be much more attractively and functionally laid out. The current main library building has been cobbled together sort of over the years from the 50s through the 90s, and is really not laid out in a way. It's laid out in a way, the main library, that you need extra staff to sort of keep an eye on things that are going on in the different corners and nooks and crannies and basement of the library. And this new building is going to be laid out much more efficiently.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a question or comment? If not, I again don't think we have any action items on this, so I think we're moving to advisory body member reports. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any reports from library commission members since the last meeting? We did divide up some responsibilities related to affiliates. I can tell you that as the liaison to the Historical Association, I did reach out to Jim Lewis and let him know that I would be either attending his meetings or receiving reports from him, and I got a really good email back from him where he was very pleased to know that we wanted to reach out to them and participate with them. So he did send me some information, just updates on what they're doing, and I'm happy to, rather than reading his email now, make it available to Nick to share with everyone. I was wondering a little what maybe if we are doing email communications with these different groups, what is the ideal way to share that info. Just send it to you, Nick, ahead of the meetings, and then that's part of the agenda, or what's the?
Sure, we can do that. It's probably better to sort of keep it. It seems easier to me to kind of keep it as part of the agenda packet that you get, so I could attach it
Okay.
as part of the agenda packet, unless you guys want me to send it out as it comes in, which
No, I think
it just seems like you wouldn't want me cluttering up your inbox
Yeah.
to the extent that I can avoid that.
At any rate, my general report to the group is the Historical Association was very pleased to know they have a liaison, and I will communicate with Jim via email. I think he was going to check with his Historical Association to see whether or not they wanted to have an outside person sitting in on their meetings, and I'm not even sure that's necessary. And then also just related to the Library Foundation, I can report that we did have our monthly meeting. The Library Foundation is a little stymied right now because of pandemic and waiting to see what's going on and what the need will be, what the ask will be for them to raise money for. They did have a successful membership drive last year where we have a lot of community members participating, and there had been a hope right before COVID hit to have an event to thank people for joining the Library Foundation and just have a nice social event at the library. And since that's been put off indefinitely, what is going to be happening, we just got them delivered actually, is some really fun masks that say "Born to Read" all over them that are going to be going out to members of the Library Foundation. So I think that they're really, if a mask can be fun and community minded, I think they are. So you may see those around town soon, and maybe in your own mailbox. Anyway, those are my two reports. Anyone else have an update? Yeah, Ellen.
Yeah, hi. So I was assigned the Friends of the Menlo Park Library, and they had a meeting in the last 2 weeks, which folks on this call attended as well as myself. I think the only really salient update that's worth noting and isn't surprising, unfortunately, is that the Friends of the Library normally take donations through the side entrance of the main library, and then they go down into this mole hole place, which I guess has all the charm of a mole hole, and no windows. And as a result, it's a small enclosed space without much in the way of ventilation, which is just perfect for COVID-19 if you want to flourish and spread. Not if you're someone volunteering for the Friends of the Library. It's more like friends of people who want to give COVID to one another is unfortunately what you're left with. So needless to say, they're not able to take donations. They're not able to really go to the library and work because, they're running a skeleton crew there right now. And, you see it's like a sneeze guard. Every time you go to borrow something, there's some poor guy standing there or sitting there, trying not to touch things. So they're really stuck. So part of the conversation that I thought was very interesting is that sadly, if we have some businesses that are empty on Santa Cruz Avenue, and they can negotiate with a local business that has space but can't rent it, the possibility of using it as a tax write-off and giving it to the Friends of the Library so that it could be a place where books get dropped off and perhaps become available is a real option. So I don't know realtors in the downtown on Santa Cruz that own those buildings, but I did call some local businesses and friends who I know have big spaces in Menlo Park. Not a lot of takers so far. I think freestanding businesses that aren't using their space, the feedback I basically got was that they're worried about the liability. So the question of how one does that, so I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not someone like that, but this is really was the essence of what was being spoken about. So I bring it up to all of you in case for some reason you happen to be aware of local businesses that are accessible, where they may be able to open and operate for some foreseeable point in time while we're waiting for, the plague to end. and for the mole hole to open and for them to start taking on donations again. Because let's not forget, the vast majority of the money that they raise not only goes to the library, but actually isn't generated by sales in that little bookstore when you walk into the main branch. It's actually mail order through websites. And they can do that, but it's very hard to do at home. And it's really not conducive for the way they operate. And it just, everything has come sadly to a grinding halt. So that's the message I got from it. And if anyone has an innovative idea or happens to know someone who owns a storefront that is not being used right now and that they want to maybe talk to a tax advisor about a novel tax break, that might be a win-win for a lot of people in the community at large. So that was my take-home message from the meeting. And they're nice people, you know.
Yeah. Sean, when they, remember when the, wasn't it the Chamber of Commerce or the Rotary Club that worked with the library to put the, that little library over where the community garden is? I wonder if
Oh, yeah.
those folks might be able to get involved in helping to find that type of storefront. But
Good
they,
question. That was the Rotary Club, but yes. Good
yeah.
question.
The Friends of the Library generally donates a pretty substantial amount to the library services every year. Is that, has that revenue completely disappeared as a result of COVID?
It has, for the most part. Since they're not selling anything, the only revenue they've got coming in is investment income or donations directly to the Friends of the Library. Luckily for them and for us, they had a considerable amount in reserve. The library, in fact, made a larger ask of the Friends of the Library this year for library materials than we normally do because of the cutbacks from the impacts of COVID-19 on the library's materials budget. So we actually asked for more money this year, which they were happy to provide. But I think they'll be okay for the extent of COVID, and they really have a pretty good reserve. So it's more than a, you know, for the volunteers there who are driving the Friends, it's more than just sort of a money-making thing for them. You know, it's a real labor of love for them, and it's very difficult for them not to be in there working and doing that good work for the library.
Well, thanks, Alan. Did anyone have any questions for Alan other than me? Not, that's great. Thank you for reaching out and being our liaison there. Anybody else happen to have a report? No? Okay. Well then, I think we're ready to adjourn the meeting.
Great.
So, thanks, everybody. Thanks to the members of the public that attended. And
Thanks, everybody.
see you next month.
Good night.
Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.